We have an absolute five-alarm fire when it comes to all of the different fires going on right now in the world of politics. The first is Jeffrey Epstein. We're going to get into the Clintons being subpoenaed. Then we got Trump joking that he's putting nuclear missiles on the roof of the White House. I don't know what's a joke and what's reality anymore. After that, we'll discuss Trump absolutely lying about why he fired the statistician that was responsible for reporting the jobs report. And then we've got the Texas Democrats who fled Texas to prevent the vote on gerrymandering. And again, more Trump lies. If folks want me to be as unbiased as possible here, but it's kind of tough when we're in these unprecedented times. Bill and Hilary Clinton subpoenaed by congressional committee in Jeffrey Epstein probe. Wild stuff. Nearly a dozen other former feds and politicians have been subpoenaed for depositions by a congressional committee, all in connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Rep. James Comer, chair of the House Oversight Committee, announced Hillary will testify on October 9th, followed by Bill on October 14th. Comer issued a subpoena for the DOJ for any Epstein-related records. Plenty of other high-profile names set to testify in the coming weeks, including former FBI Director James Comey, Robert Mueller, as well as former U.S. Attorneys General Merrick Garland and Bill Barr. Wild stuff. The announcement comes on the heels of the feds interviewing Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. What will come of this? I honestly have no idea. But as I've said all along, if any of these men or women that are complicit in these crimes that were committed, they should all be prosecuted. Absolutely. Well, this is a crazy story here. Donald Trump spotted on the roof of the White House. He says they are building nukes. While walking around on the roof of the White House, President Trump was asked by reporters what he was trying to build, to which he responded, nuclear missiles, before pointing at the roof and then making a launch gesture towards the sky. Again, no idea what's true, what's fiction. Here's what he had to say about being on the roof. So the question is, Mr. President, what are you doing up there?
Taking a little walk.
He said he's taking a walk because it's good for your health. So who knows? Is he putting skylights up there? I honestly couldn't tell you. But, and by the way, I wanted to share what Marianne Williamson had to say about this new ballroom they're building. The photo you're looking at right now is not an accurate rendering. I'm just letting folks know. This is so AI generated. It is not accurate. The size of the ballroom will be big, but it won't be directly attached to the main White House. It'll be attached through a different wing. But here's what Marianne Williamson had to say. One of the things I've always liked most about the White House is its size. It's grand, but not grandiose. It was built to be the president's mansion, not a king's palace. It's a perfect reflection of an American ideal. But the reason I love the White House, the president finds it inadequate. It's not currently palatial enough for his taste. The current White House, roughly 55,000 square feet, will now be dwarfed by 90,000 square foot ballroom added to the East Wing. This will permanently change the building structures and its character. And here's a better representation of that ballroom. Again, it will be massive by all means, but it won't be like smack up next to the Oval Office. It'll be connected to the East Wing. Now, what's interesting is we've had people say, yeah, but it's all going to be made with private donations. Don't people realize how dangerous that is? Private donations from whom? We should not be letting private citizens donate to the building of anything at the White House that is inviting a sort of inviting scam artists to come in, offer money in exchange for what? There's no such thing as a free lunch, right? That's rule number one when it comes to economics. So I don't think this should be built. I don't think it should be built with private funding. And as folks have said, is it money laundering? Is it people gaining access to the president? It begs more questions than it answers. And it is not what the American people really need right now. And again, part of the rigging of the system is understanding that due to the big, beautiful bill taking away millions of people off their health care and, getting rid of SNAP food stamp programs and all these other issues, tax cuts for the ultra wealthy, because of this, it's pretty well understood that the Republicans are going to have a hard time keeping the House of Representatives together and have the majority come the next election. And because of that, Donald Trump has found a brilliant opportunity to cheat in Texas. Democrats ain't playing around. Have a listen.
I want to be very clear about this. The Trump-Abbott gerrymander is a test case for the rest of the country. What Republicans are trying to do in Texas is a model for other red states to lie, cheat, and steal their way to victory. They don't give a damn about the will of voters or their needs. In fact, they'd rather bend the knee to Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. than advocate for Texas. It's insulting, it's shameful, and it's wrong. And as I've said, Democrats are going to fight this tooth and nail, and until the will of the voters is respected. This is not the Democratic Party of your grandfather, which would bring a pencil to the knife fight. This is a new Democratic Party. We're bringing a knife to a knife fight, and we are going to fight fire with fire.
There it is, fighting fire with fire. And again, people will cry saying, well, no, they're cheating too. Here's what Trump had to say about the gerrymandering.
He should have many more seats in Congress in California. It's all gerrymandered. And we have an opportunity in Texas to pick up 5 seats. We have
an opportunity. And that opportunity is them calling a special session, ostensibly to deal with the flooding and the loss of so many innocent lives. And within that special session, deciding to gerrymander. That is not an opportunity. That's an exploitation.
We have a really good governor, and we have good people in Texas. And I won Texas. I got the highest vote in the history of Texas, as you probably know. And we are entitled to 5 more seats.
I don't know.
There it is. He says we're entitled to 5 more seats. That's the key word, entitled.
I have to check on that. And you know, they expect...
Check it.
Yeah,
Why don't you check it, Brian?
The fact checkers expect us to check everything you say on the phone.
I want you to
but
check
for
it.
4 years, those fact checkers didn't fact check anything that was said about... we don't need to relitigate that.
Right, so then he goes into, but Biden was not fact-checked. So here we have some fact-checking happening as Trump makes a claim about the statistician that was fired.
Certainly suboptimal, but rigged? Where do you get the notion that it's rigged, or do you have any evidence there?
It is.
Again, because this is Trump firing the statistician, saying it was rigged, and no one's providing any evidence of the rigging. Kind of like how Doge was there to get rid of fraud, and then there was no one tried with fraud. Of course, Doge never went to the biggest, the biggest budget eater, which is the Department of Defense. They, of course, only went after the programs that were there to help people. And again, we are still looking for this fraud. There are concepts of a healthcare plan and no cases of fraud.
But it's also very political. And, I had an election recently where I did very well, won every swing state, won the popular vote, won everything, all right? Won all the counties. It's, I think, 87% of the counties were Republican up. That's never happened before. And yet I had to go through hell. And just days before the election, they put out numbers that it was like the country was on fire. It was doing so well. And then they did a revision about 2 weeks later.
And by the way, what's circled up here is that the revision actually took place August 22nd. So it was several months before the election that the Bureau of Labor Statistics revised its payroll count, and that erased 800,000 jobs. And it's because it's an inaccurate estimation.
And the revision was down by almost 900,000 jobs. You remember that?
To your claim that revision helped Biden hurt you for the 800,000. It was in August. There was still plenty of time for voters to see that those weren't real jobs.
After the election in November, I believe it was in
and Trump's doing what my own family does when you present them with information they don't like. They just raise their voice. And again, not to single out my family. We all have that. We've all got that dad who, when he doesn't like what he hears, he just talks louder. Yeah, that's good. You know what? I actually believe your point now that you raised your voice. You're absolutely right. Oh, you're banging your fists on the table? Yeah, no, you're totally right. That college education you helped me get, I should throw it out. You're right. I should just yell louder. Yeah, I mean, there's your updates from the ballroom to Jeffrey Epstein to the firing of the statistician. So the question remains. This is why the economy's it has a lot of questions to it. This is why inflation's creeping up. Companies don't want to, who the hell would want to hire employees right now when there's no clear, cohesive plan about the economy moving forward? So again, it will be shocking if these job numbers go up anytime soon. We'll have to see how it all plays out. I can tell you this right now. nobody has faith that the numbers that are going to be coming in are numbers that are accurate. They're just numbers Trump will want to hear. And that's kind of like, people relate it back to COVID, right? Trump said, well, we'll have less cases of COVID if we just stop testing for COVID. That's like when you're in college and you're like, I don't want to get an STD check. I don't have herpes if I don't test for it, right, boys? That's not how it works. All right, that's it for me. We'll be back in the morning. As always, I'm Dave Neal. This is The Rush.